We have been under a brutal dictatorship for 26 years. The international community has not cared. They have continued to order us into negotiations with our kidnappers. We, 8 million immigrants who have had to flee, we're still not able to return. Once the Trump administration finishes the job, the Western Hemisphere will be brought back to security. Russia, China, Iran will be kicked out of Venezuela, and hopefully the Cuban people will also eventually be free from the Castro communist cancer.
Whatever is happening in the region, the recent U.S. military action that led to the capture of Nicolas Maduro has marked an unprecedented moment in Venezuela history. What do you think about it, and how is it going to affect the future of Venezuela, according to you?
Right. This has been an incredible first step to returning Venezuela to democracy. We have been under a brutal dictatorship for 26 years. The international community has not cared. They have continued to order us into negotiations with our kidnappers. We had never had leverage against the regime. So we Venezuelans were elated to see Nicolas Maduro and Cilia Flores arrested and taken to the U.S. As an American, it was a great operation, no U.S. casualties. There was only one civilian death on the Venezuelan side. It was actually mostly Cubans who died defending Maduro. That shows that Venezuela was invaded by Cuba thanks to Hugo Chavez long ago. Now it's important for the Trump administration to finish the job and get rid of Delcy Rodriguez and Diosdado Cabello, because Venezuela will not be able to recover its oil industry, its country. We, 8 million immigrants who have had to flee, we're still not able to return. Once the Trump administration finishes the job, the Western Hemisphere will be brought back to security. Russia, China, Iran will be kicked out of Venezuela, and hopefully the Cuban people will also eventually be free from the Castro communist cancer that took the Western Hemisphere nearly 80 years ago.
So only the Maduro is out, but the rest of the government is there, with the vice president stepping in as the new head of the government following Maduro's removal. How is her leadership being perceived inside Venezuela and by you? Does this transition bring any sense of stability, or it has added to the uncertainty?
There's no stability right now. This is a transition. A modern transition to democracy takes time. It's complex. Like I said, the Chavista regime is still running Venezuela. It's still oppressing people. Right now, Venezuelans inside Venezuela are more scared than ever, not of the U.S., of the Chavista regime, who can put you in prison for liking the wrong post on social media. So it's very important that the job is done. That is our message to the White House and to the world. Finish the job so you wouldn't have done this operation to arrest Maduro in vain. And thankfully, it appears that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is the one that's handling the situation. Yesterday, he made statements about the next steps, and we Venezuelans are confident that with the United States' help, we will have a proper transition to democracy that gets rid of Delcy Rodriguez and of Diosdado Cabello.
So United States, you mentioned about the Marco Rubio statement. United States has openly linked its action to Venezuela vast oil reserves and has indicated an interest in controlling and managing oil production and exports. How do you see it? Will it bring any sort of stability, and will it bring any sort of economic prosperity in Venezuela?
Correct. So that's where the Trump administration's interests align with that of Venezuelans. If Donald Trump wants to recover the Venezuelan oil industry, he's going to have to bring capitalism and democracy back to Venezuela. So once that happens, we Venezuelans are so happy to do business with the United States, because when we did that, we were the richest country in the nation. Replacing the United States with Cuba, with Russia, China, and Iran instead created the largest refugee crisis our hemisphere has ever seen. So we would love to work with the Americans the way we used to, and what made us the fourth richest country in the world in 1950.
So several opposition leaders have been living in exile for years and claim popular legitimacy. In the current scenario where power has shifted but remains contested, what role can these leaders realistically play, and what do you see the future of these leaders in your country?
Listen, it's very complex. Unfortunately, it's not realistic for our elected leader, Maria Corina Machado, to take power in Venezuela because Venezuela, like I said, is still under a brutal dictatorship. The only thing Maria Corina has is the support of the majority of Venezuelans. She does not have power over the institutions. She does not have power over the military. That's why it's a brutal dictatorship, and that's why we Venezuelans need help, because we have lost the control of the monopoly of violence the regime has it. That being said, Maria Corina Machado and the Venezuelan opposition have already played a crucial role in this. The legitimacy of what the United States is doing in Venezuela is helped by the amazing job that Edmundo Gonzalez, Maria Corina Machado, and other activists did by not only winning an election in a dictatorship, but then proving that the Chavistas stole the election. So the Venezuelan opposition will continue to play a role. Unfortunately, like I said, they don't have guns. And right now, only the United States government can truly negotiate with a brutal dictatorship that runs Venezuela.
I want to understand from you how's the situation right now in Venezuela, and how bad is this economic situation if we talk about, and what does this moment mean for the country's future in terms of governance, democratic process, and day-to-day life of the citizens?
A lot of people wonder why there are no celebrations on the streets of Venezuela after they arrest our dictator. Well, because if people go out to celebrate, they'll disappear you. So right now, I've received plenty of messages from Venezuelans. They are happy that the dictator has been arrested. They are cautiously optimistic that the Trump administration will finish the job. But today, they are in more danger than ever because the regime is cornered. Their armed civilian groups are coming out to intimidate people, to make sure that no one celebrates Maduro's arrest. So that's what's going on right now. In terms of the economy, it's not a new thing. Venezuelans have been starving for decades now. Venezuelans cannot find simple products. This is what they have been under for 26 years. So to go back to, yes, we want to work with the United States. It's actually great news. Yesterday, the Trump administration said that Germania Rodriguez had agreed to purchase American products now instead of Chinese products, instead of Iranian stuff. So that's what Venezuelans want, and that will improve the quality of life in Venezuelans in Venezuela right now, who right now don't have quality of life. It has the worst inflation of the world in Venezuela, and there's no opportunity. So things can only get better.
So are you optimistic about the future of Venezuela when it comes to democratic process? Because what we are seeing from the past several years and decades, that there was no like elections were happening, but no political leaders were being elected leaders were being installed. So now, are you hoping that with the changes, with all the changes, that a new democracy will prevail in the country and new processes will be prevailing?
We Venezuelans, like I said, are cautiously optimistic. We are more hopeful than we have ever been in this battle against Chavismo. It's not over. We have not yet won, but like I said, we are going to focus on keeping the White House accountable to say what they said they were going to do. And like I said, I am hopeful because the White House interest of recovering the oil industry, of getting China and Iran out of our hemisphere, aligns with our interest for Venezuelan democracy. If Donald Trump wants to work in our oil industry, he's going to have to bring democracy and capitalism back to Venezuela. And that's why we are cautiously optimistic today.
Thank you so much for your time and speaking with us. It was great speaking with you and getting the perspective from your end.
Thank you so much for asking.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.